Okay, this is my first attempt at rendering suet into tallow, and this is stuff that I just put in from the food processor, and this right here is Cracklins, or what will be Cracklins, from what's been already cooking down before. So, I got 3 packages of about 2 pounds each, and I figured that should give me a nice amount, although I didn't think this all the way through because I don't have a metal strainer or colander, so I'm a little concerned. I do have a sieve, and so I might have to resort to a very time-consuming sieve. Because I can't obviously use a plastic colander because of the heat, the high heat. So I just wanted to show you what this looked like, and I will also show you what it's like cutting the suet up. There's a little science to it, or a little art. So give me a minute and let me get you set up to see. Alright, so here we go. This is the lovely suet, and there's a lot of veiny stuff. Now some of it you can just say to heck with and put in, but see how this stuff is all really connected? This I sit here and just kind of cut the suet off from that so that there's not as much. And do you see that? That string? See that? That kind of, you want to leave that stuff behind. And see the membranes there? The membranes are gonna not melt. Just means that you're going to have to clean your suet a little bit more. Now this is a piece that I've pretty much cut as much as I could, barring little bits and pieces here, which I will get because I want to get as much as I can. But I wanted to show you guys like a bigger piece and what it looks like, and here's a real good example of that. Okay, see how this membrane is here, and I just kind of peel that away, and sometimes you find a little bit more, you find a lot more inside. Here's I try to pull it and get a nice big long strip of it if I can. Maybe this wasn't the best place to, well, maybe. Okay, see that? See how it pulls apart like that? And now you see how there's the white, nice white suet underneath there? There's some, you know, membrane there too. But again, this will cook out. I mean, you want to get as much as you can off so that it saves you work when you're done melting it all down. But see, I just try to peel this away, and I put it over in my food processor, which was awesome, because I was a little worried reading up or watching videos on how to render the suet, because they were saying, oh, you need to get it, you know, cut up as little as you can, and if you don't, you've got more work. And who wants more work, right? I mean, this is work anyway for making your soap, but I think this work is going to be worth it, because to buy tallow already done is kind of pricey. And so that's why I looked into doing it myself. I actually, true confessions here, I actually did buy some tallow a couple months ago, and I only bought one package, like the package that you see me working on right now. And it said that it wasn't going to go bad for a long time. And I kept putting it off because, you know how you dread doing something you've never done before, and you're always afraid, oh, am I going to screw it up? You know, what if I do it wrong? I'm going to throw it away. Not like it was expensive, but money's money. So I ended up, one day I opened the refrigerator and I thought, something smells funny. Well, that something that smelled funny was my tallow. My suet was yucky. Now I'm being kind of sloppy about this. I was very diligent in the beginning and taking way more of the membrane away, but I'm seeing how it's cooking down, and I'm not really thinking that you really need to get, you know, every little bit, and that it's okay if you know, have like, here's a big chunk. Here's a big chunk right there. See that? We don't want that. See, we can pull this one off, and this little, I call them nuggets. This little nugget can come off, and then stick in your knife underneath and just pulling it back. Now, I spend more time pulling than I do cutting, actually. And when you rip it apart, it does bring out the pieces of the suet. Now, when you take this out of the food processor, when you go to dump it into your crock pot, and I chose, by the way, I should talk about that a little bit. Well, let me finish. When you go to take apart your food processor, you're going to find those little membranes caught inside the grater part on your food processor, and you just clean it off and discard it here. Not a big deal. See, there's a little membrane that I'm able to pull off. So it does create a little bit more work, but not bad. Not something I'm gonna lose sleep over or feel I wasted my time. Basically, I watched several videos and found that there were different ways, obviously, that you could do this, and that was either by adding it into a heavy stock pot or pan. Cast iron is amazing for that. Or you could do it in a crock pot. And the differences were, if you did it in the pan, then you had to add water. And then you had to rinse it with more water. And so then you have to play the game of cleaning the, you know, waiting for the lard and, or the tallow, excuse me, to separate from the water. And that's just entirely too much for me. So I was watching, I came across somebody who was doing it in the crock pot, and I thought, well, that would be awesome because, you know, you keep your heat down that way. It can be lower for longer, and that works better. Videoing. So I decided I would give it a go in the crock pot, and I think I'm going to be happy with that because I'm already happy with the way it looks. Then I'm going to have to strain it, and hopefully there won't be a lot of gushy stuff left for me to have to clean away after I do this. Now, if you're watching this and you don't know the difference between tallow and lard, tallow is from beef and lard is from pigs. So that would be the difference. And I have done all kinds of stuff with lard soap, but I have never done anything with tallow. So I'm very curious to see if there's a difference in what that is. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it for now. And I'm going to grind some of this up in the food processor. And then I will show you what that looks like once I get the food processor full and before I empty it. And I'll show you what I'm talking about with the stringies getting caught up and what you have to do for that. Be back. Alright, I promised to bring you back and show you. See how that all gets all gobbed up in there? And so I then scrape that out, and I just run my knife along in there and get that all out of there. It's almost like a Crisco at this point where it gathers up like that. And I just clean this out, the cap. This is rather the top to the food processor, not the cap. You'll find my techie terms are a little much at times, huh? So that will go into the crock pot. And then the next thing that's going to need a little cleaning off is going to be the blade. See? Now, this is what I was talking about, the pieces that would stick up through. And you can pretty much grab them with your knife, and, well, sometimes you can pull them up through pretty easily, and other times they're a bit more difficult. But I try not to put those into the pan. So I'm just going to scrape this real quick. I clean off everything else all around it, around the edge. Underneath it tends to build up some, and I'll show you that. I just wanted to get the stuff off of the top here. And it's already like lard-ish now. Okay, see how it gets all underneath there? All right here. And so I just kind of scrape that and then dump it into the crock pot. Now this is where you kind of have to be careful because you can pull those pieces that are sticking through on the other side. That's when you can pull them right out and they're in your oils anyway. So I tend to let what's going to fall, and then I try to then pull up from the other side again and hope that what I got comes up easy. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it ends up in the pot anyway. But I figure even if it does end up in the pot, it's, you know, it's all going to be cleaned off. I'm going to run it through a sieve and clean it. And so it's really not that big of a deal to me. Although I am trying to save myself, you know, super cleaning at the end. Because sometimes you have to run this through a couple times. 2-3 times even. To get out what you need to. And that all depends on how diligent I guess you were in cleaning your suet before it went into the pan. So I apologize being off camera trying to scrape this. But just trying to grab, see? And I just pulled that right up out of there. Anyway, I set that aside, and then I want to show you what the full bowl looks like. See how it looks just like shreds. Like if you're going to shred up pizza cheese or anything like that using a food processor. And that just goes in. Dump in. That's it. And then I put it, whoop, there's any Klingons here, little powdery Klingons. And that was one thing that I was going to mention, is that the suet actually feels, believe it or not, powdery. I was kind of surprised by that. I didn't expect it to have a powdery feel to it. I expected a greasy feel, which you definitely feel when you've been playing in this, but not a powdery feel. Sorry about that again. I am now on to my third and final. Ta-da-da! Third and final, folks. Third and final suet. This is what it looks like. It says beef suet, and it's 2.21 pounds. It's $1.49 a pound. I paid $3.29. I think that's a titch bit on the high side. I am saving these, by the way, because I am going to add up how much I actually had in the end and how much to start with, just to see how much tallow I do get out of how much suet, so that I can kind of plan accordingly if I have something that I want to do. I am going to see if I can talk to our local butcher about getting some suet from them. Now, here's a nice fresh piece that I'm peeling off, and you can see this is cold from the fridge, and I think that makes a big difference too. By the time I started video and, you know, taping for you guys and showing you this, it had already had time to be into the room temperature, and you know, that definitely makes a difference. So I think it's easier to deal with when it's cold. And I did hear from several people who rendered it, whether they were doing it in a pan or in the crock pot, all pretty much said that you really are going to want to have it in a frozen state or as cold as possible. I would agree with that, because at this point, and see, I can take my knife and just drag it right down that membrane and pull it off, which makes it nice. Or I can kind of go up, depending. And it does make it nicer, makes it easier, I guess, to do this. And of course it peels. See that? All one big piece. Peeled right off for me. That's nice. It's nice when you can get one big piece like that, then it's not as tedious. I definitely think it's worth this, you guys. You know, it is a little bit of extra work, but you know, for me, I kind of feel like that's the fun part of doing the soap, is doing a lot of these things myself and seeing what it's like to do things the way they would have done them back in the day. And I'm very interested in going back to basics. I would love to be off-grid. I am definitely interested in prepping, which that's how I started on my journey with soaping, actually, was because I ran across somebody soaping when I was watching a prepping video. And if you don't know what prepping is, it is where you take food stores and you have them for emergency situations. They call them SHFT, basically when the shit hits the fan. And I do think it's important because, I mean, that could be something simple like when we had the, I don't know, for those of you who live in the States, those of you who live on the eastern seaboard, if you can remember several years back when we had that power outage, that we were without power for weeks, and how many stores were just absolutely cleaned out. I remember going up to the store, I want to say day 2 of that outage, maybe day 3, And I thought, well, I might as well get some water. And there wasn't a single solitary gallon, bottle, jar of water left to be had. And I thought, holy cow, does somebody know something we don't? But in a situation like that, if you have, stores where you can take care of yourself and your family that way, that's, pretty incredible. And for that reason, I am planting a garden this year, and I am going to learn how to can. So, I'm hoping that I'll be able to do some videos about that too. I would love to be able to share that kind of stuff with other people because I have never done it myself, and I think it would be nice. I'm sure I'll watch a bunch of videos on gardening and composting and all that fun jazz. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing that. And there are people who definitely are the extreme of prepping, and I don't really know that. Is it too extreme? I mean, those are the people that you're going to want to have in your circle of friends if there really is a, I'm not going to say zombie apocalypse because I'm not going for all that. But if there was ever a war over on our turf, I guess, or something, you want people in your circle of friends that you can barter things with, and that's the perfect way to do it. Anyway, guys, I think I've shown you. There's not really much more to show you. It's just nothing but tediousness after this. I think I've showed you all that you need to know. And the rendered tallow is, I will definitely put up pictures. I don't know that I'll video it with me straining it. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I know some people say, show it. I want to know what it looks like. I want to know that if I see this, that it's right. So, we'll see. Maybe we'll do that. But anyway, I'm going to go get to this tallow, suet, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to get back to it so I can get it done and get off my feet because I've been standing on it for probably close to 2 hours doing all this. Maybe not 2 hours. Maybe an hour and a half. Feels like forever. Let's just put it that way. So I will get back to you guys. Thanks for watching. Okay, here it is. Our cracklins draining into a bowl. Oops. You got a little, it's hot. Hot, that's for sure. I'm using cheesecloth and draining it. Here is one bowl already full, and these are the big old kitchen mixing bowls. So I'm feeling pretty good about what I got, and you'll notice how clear this is, and I don't think I'm going to have to send it through a second time, which is awesome. And I just wanted to show you what comes out in the Cracklins. You see those big white chunks? Yeah. That's where I got lazy and didn't get off the membranes that I told you about. So basically, even if you don't get real picky, it's still, you're going to be left with tallow. And the impurities are going to stay in big enough chunks that it's not going to get into your tallow. So I feel pretty confident that the next time I'll just chop it up and throw it through that food processor and put it in the crock pot. Crock pot was an awesome way to go. I, watched many videos where people were saying it took 5 hours and longer to render theirs out, and it did not take me long at all. As a matter of fact, about 10 minutes after I finally ground up the last little bit of suet, it was already ready to go in the crock pot. And this is what I have left to finish up in the crock pot. Not a lot, and looks good, right? Alright, well, there you go. Any questions? Don't hesitate to ask. My dogs are going to love this Cracklins business. So don't be afraid to do tallow. It's not bad. It was kind of fun. It's going to make using it more fun for me because I know that I actually did this. I didn't just go to a store and buy it. And that really just, it's just something different for me, I guess. And I know it's not for everybody. But you guys, you can do it at home too. And don't be afraid. So, good luck. Thanks for watching.